Hey, music fans, we are bringing back again a series that we haven't done in a while. And maybe this will just be like a once a month thing. I don't know. I definitely want to finish this series because there's so many good albums. But we are going to be doing the top 5 albums of 1971, often cited as one of the greatest years ever for music. Honestly, I think 1974 is cited as one of the worst ever years for music, and I was looking at some of the albums there, and I'm like, no, there's some pretty good bangers in 1974.
Yeah.
But just to kind of reiterate the rules, we are going to be going over our top 5 albums. Nick and I will be alternating off for an album to be one of our favorites. I haven't said this before, but it kind of was implied earlier. You have to have heard the full album for it to be on the list. I can't just be like, oh, I like Roundabout, so I think I should put Fragile by Yes on the list. No, I have not heard the full record, so I can't put that on the list. So if you wanted Fragile by Yes to be on my list, I'm sorry I haven't heard the full album. But the ones that I have listened to are in my top 5, and I'm kind of rambling on now. Let's go ahead and get into the top 5 albums of the year 1971. The 60s have just ended, the 70s are well underway, and this is kind of the year where the 70s kick off. 1970 kind of felt like a little carryover of the 60s. 71, we are full in with the 70s. Lots of great singer-songwriters. Rock music is starting to take shape. Nick, what is your number 5 album of 1971?
Hey, you mind if I have one tie for number 5? The rest I don't have ties for, but like this
You
one I
gotta
have
break the
ties.
tie. You gotta break the tie.
Okay.
One of them is to be an
Well,
honorable mention.
okay, fair enough. My number 5 is going to be Distant Light by the Hollies. This is their third album after Graham Nash left the Hollies. The album that had him leave the band was Holly Sing Dylan, but then they had an album called this is actually their fourth album without him, but the first one without him, aptly named Holly Sing Hollies. 69 is them trying to find their sound without him. The one in 70 they kind of did, and this album they found it perfectly. Songs like What a Life I've Had, Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress, Long Dark Road, Cable Car. There's some really good songs on here. Definitely very underrated album. People obviously know it just for the one song, Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress, but it's a lot more than just that one song.
Cool. My number 5 album of 1971 is LA Woman by The Doors. This is The Doors' last album with Jim Morrison, that is. Very well should be their last album, but it wasn't. But man, what a way to go out. You've got The Changeling. I love Jim's vocal style on this album. You've got Love Her Madly. That's a great song. The title track is amazing. Mr. Mojo Rising. And of course, my favorite song on the album is Riders on the Storm, the last song, kind of an eerie send-off for them. But this album is kind of more like hard rock focused than some of their other stuff. Hard rock and blues focused and some of their other stuff. Their other stuff was more psychedelic and jazz influenced. This is kind of a little more veering into the hard rock territory, even though the blues is still there on some of the songs. And like I mentioned earlier, Jim's vocals on this are really top notch. So number 5 is LA Woman by The Doors.
Great pick. My number 4 spot is we go to an album that I just heard this year. Just recently, really, just by like a month or a couple of weeks ago, I just listened to it, and it's so good that it's on my list now. That I'm referring to Future Games by Fleetwood Mac. This was the first album with Bob Welch. My favorite era of the three big ones. Of course, there's the Peter Gabriel. Of course, Peter Gabriel.
Peter Gabriel with Fleetwood Mac. Did he play the flute on Noel Part 2?
Peter Green, Fleetwood Mac, and of course the Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks era. Bob Welch, I feel like his era is the most disliked, probably because it's much different than both of the it's a big transition from the blues rock to the poppy stuff that would become the White Album and Rumors. A lot of people dislike it. I personally love Future Games. I don't know why people were so harsh on the Bob Welch era albums. I think they're amazing in their own right. I mean, like I said, it's my favorite era of Fleetwood Mac. So, I mean, Woman of 1,000 Years, what a great opener. Morning Rain, first lead vocal by Christine McVie, I believe. What a Shame is amazing. Future Games, which is my favorite Fleetwood Mac song. Sands of Time is amazing. Sometimes Lay It All Down and Show Me a Smile. All 8 of these songs is just like amazing. Love it all. Really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree and say that Bob Welch is better than Peter Green. The Bob Welch era of Fleetwood Mac is better than the Peter Green era, in my opinion. I might get a lot of hate for saying other than Then Play On. Man, I wish they would have done more with Peter Green, like in the style of Then Play On. That's a great album, but
I wish Peter Green was more involved with them when Bob Welch came in. Like,
yeah, like what's that one song on Penguin that has Bob Welch and Peter Green on it?
I forgot, but I remember it being really good. You told me, and I remember the song, and I'm just like, yeah, it is a good song. It would have been cool
if Fleetwood Mac had, like, if he had stayed on and Bob Welch had come on, and it would sound like that, and that would have been amazing. Like, drop Jeremy Spencer and his stupid Dust My Broom lick every third song on the album, and get Peter Green and Bob Welch to make some great rockin' Fleetwood Mac, and then Christine can make the really cool pop ballads. Man, that would have been great.
Yeah, Christine McVie is my she's probably my favorite Fleetwood Mac member because
honestly, me too.
Even though she was never my favorite on the album, she was very consistent of how good she was. Like she always had a consistency of making great songs, and I feel like that sometimes I'd rather have a band member that's consistently great along the way, but not be the big standout than have like someone be like great for like an album or two and then like sort of like not be good after. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion though.
Jason looks like he's playing along as well. He says his number 5 is American Pie by Don McLean.
That's a great album, Jason. I
cannot put it in my list because I've only heard the first half of the album.
Sadly, I didn't make it on my honorable mentions because it was only I had to limit myself because if I did, I would just be talking about every album of 1971.
I do have that album though. It's I think I got it for $5. I need to listen to the other half of it because I liked what I'd heard of it. Man, Vincent is amazing, and the title track is classic.
Yeah,
so many references to 1960s pop music though, like the Byrds, the Rolling Stones, Buddy Holly, Bob Dylan. Like there's a lot of different references in that song. Anyway, my number 4 album of 1971 is going to be one that a lot of people may not agree with, but it is my number 4 album of 1971, and I am going with Cold Spring Harbor by Billy Joel. Now you're thinking, isn't that Billy Joel's crappy debut album? Yes, it is, but I actually really like it, even though there was like a mastering error that caused it to be too fast in pitch when it was released, and Billy Joel kind of infamously threw it like a frisbee down the street when he first heard it. But I really like it. It's a really good start for Billy Joel, pre-Piano Man. I really like She's Got a Way. That's a really great opener. Everybody Loves You Now was a really cool, like a frantic sounding song. The Falling of the Rain, Why Judy Why. You Can Make Me Free. I really like You Can Make Me Free. That's kind of a Paul McCartney-esque song. That's a really good one, especially the original 6-minute version that was unfortunately faded out too early on the remasters. And my favorite song on this album is probably Tomorrow Is Today, which was his adaptation of his Suicide Note, which is really sad considering what the circumstances were behind the song. But it kind of makes you think, like, if Billy Joel had actually, like, if it was successful, we couldn't have gotten Piano Man or like any of his other stuff after this album. And so this really makes you realize how lucky we are that Billy Joel survived. And Billy Joel afterwards hated what he had done. He hated it from the minute he did it because he writes another song, Got to Begin Again, about how he wants to kind of get a new start on life. And then later on, he wrote You're Only Human, which was a single that he released in the 80s, which is kind of about getting your second wind. So, but, and Nocturne, that's a really great piano instrumental. But really great album and one that is very underrated in my opinion. But you got to get the original 1971 version, even if it's just listening on YouTube, because I don't like what they did on the remaster.
Really good pick. My number 3. This was the second. Well, I asked Garrett to guess what my number 1 was. His first guess was Future Games. His second was the Yes album, and the third guess, coincidentally, is my third pick, Fragile by Yes. Right. Well, I actually heard the full album because I'm doing a Discog dive on Yes. I got through their the 160s album, all the 70s and all the 80s albums. I still got to go through the 90s and the rest of that, but I really like Yes. I know the reason why I chose to do them. They're my last band I'm going to be doing a Discog dive on. I knew Briar liked them, and I'm like, you know what? Let's do Yes, because I'm a big fan of prog rock now, and they seem like a band that would be up my alley, and they were. Roundabout, which the first time I ever heard that was from, of course, the Vine thing with the doon 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 doon, like because of the memes, because of with the To Be Continued.
No,
Some people,
that was not the first time I'd heard that.
That's the first time I ever heard that, and when I first heard that, I'm like, "Is that the Vine thing?" I was like,
No, my brother actually checked it out for me because we saw the movie The School of Rock with Jack Black, and he gives the keyboard player Fragile and says, "Listen to the keyboard solo on Roundabout; it'll blow your mind." And my brother listened to Roundabout, and he's like, "Here, you got to listen to it. The keyboard solo actually will blow your mind." And so I listened to it. I'm like, "Oh, the bass."
Yeah, it's a great opening track, but the rest of the album is just as good. Cans and Brahms is amazing. We have Heaven, South Side of the Sky, Mood for a Day, Heart of the Sunrise. I mean, this is a perfect album. I mean, the first 3 albums are really good. Their debut is decent. Time and Word is really good. The Yes album improves on it, but Fragile, that's when they click as a band, and this is their first, in my opinion, their first perfect album. But yeah, that's my number 3 spot. It's crazy. I only heard it once, and I think it's better than a lot of these albums that are in my honorable mentions, which is crazy.
All right. Well, Jason playing along says number 4 is Imagine by John Lennon. He also wants to know what's better, the Billy Joel discography or the Elton John discography.
Billy Joel, in my opinion.
Can you say both? I like both of them. If you listen to the Billy Joel discography, though, you have to listen to his first album on YouTube because what they have on Spotify is the remaster, which kind of completely changes a lot of his songs. But I would say start with Billy Joel and then do Elton John because Elton John's discography is big.
Massive.
It takes a long time to get through. Billy Joel only has like 12 albums or something like that. It's still a lot, but not as much as Elton John. And Billy Joel's albums are pretty consistent as well. He didn't have any Victim of Loves in his discography.
Yeah, well, there was one that was close. It's called Stormfront. That was the closest. That was the closest.
Oh, wow. I like Stormfront.
It's
good. Hey, Jordan's here. What's up, Jordan? Jordan, I tried to reach out on Facebook Messenger. I didn't know if it was you, though. Are you the person who has the Through the Past Darkly Rolling Stones profile picture? Because I didn't know if that was you or not.
Oh, and Jason, looks like you're going to be doing a deep dive of Rush. Because
if Hooligans win,
yeah, you're doing Rush, Jason. You're doing all of them, all 19 of their albums.
The Hooligans are winning by a landslide. It looks like.
Yeah, well, I'm actually second most on the votes with the Witch Hunters.
I like the Witch Hunters. Oh yeah, people who are watching are probably like, what's going on? Jason has a contest going on where you vote for a super group that Nick and Adam from What the Gym and Briar and I made, and whoever gets the most votes is going to pick the next discography that Jason goes through. So if you pick the Hooligans, it's going to be Rush. The Hooligans are doing well.
Hey, if the Witch Hunters win, you know what I'm picking for Jason?
Rush. So you got a 50% chance of it being Rush. Don't worry, Jason.
I have the second most votes, so if Jason's like, you know what, I'm actually going to do it with the second most votes.
I think that Rush will give Jason a better appreciation of progressive rock because it takes more of a pop approach to progressive rock. It's they're kind of sneaky about those progressive tendencies. Later Genesis is like that too, from Duke onward.
Genesis though, like the Peter Gabriel to like from Trespass all the way to Trick of the Tail, that's like heavy prog. It could be like when I first heard Foxtrot, I was so like, this was before I listened to 2112. I was just so like shocked of how different it was from what I was used to. Like when people are like, "Oh, Pink Floyd's prog," I'm like, when I hear at most they're prog light. That's at most.
Yeah.
I'm giving them.
All right. Jason was talking about Elton John earlier, and he's my number 3 with Madman Across the Water.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
This is kind of where Elton John is gathering up his touring band that he would have for a long time. Most of the members appear on this album, but it's not till Honky Chateau where he gets his classic lineup. But most of them are there on this album. I know all of them are on this album, but I don't think they all play on all the songs. But man, what a classic way to start the album off with Tiny Dancer. That is a great song. Leave On, that one's good. Razor Face is really great. I like that song. I like Holiday Inn is cool. It's got like sitar on it. And then All the Nasties with the Choir is cool. And Goodbye is a very fitting way to end the album. This is just a classic Elton John album. It is, I don't like it as much as some of his other albums, but it is still one of my favorite Elton John albums because they're all great. But 1971's Madman Across... Oh, I forgot the title track. I said the name of the album. Like, what about the title track? Man, the title track is amazing too. And I also forgot about Indian Sunset.
That's my favorite song on the album. I was going to say something. I was like,
that might be my favorite song too. I don't know. There's too many good songs on this album. All I know is that my least favorite is Rotten Peaches because it's kind of the same thing as Have Mercy on the Criminal that he would do 2 albums later lyrically, and he does it better on Have Mercy on the Criminal. Rotten Peaches is just there. But rest of the album's great.
My favorite album of his is so far, well, right now it's Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player.
That might be my third favorite. I love that one.
I love that album. Like, yeah. I mean, he has so many good, like, all of his 70s albums are good. I don't think doesn't have a single bad 70s album.
Up till Blue Moves. You got to remember Victim of Love was a 70s album, technically.
Oh, yeah. I always
Everything up till Blue Moves, 1976.
It's such an 80s sounding album. My number 2 spot is going to go to a band that has a really bad discography. You know, Dusty, hate. This band is just awful. I don't know why I put it at number 2, but it's Who's Next. Really bad discography. Really hate it. And also
not worth listening to. It's so dusty and overrated.
Yep.
Can't justify owning a single one.
The Who. It's the Who selling out. It's the Who sellout. It's amazing. I mean, the only reason why I said number 2, it's because of 2 reasons. 1, 3 songs are so overplayed, like Bob O'Reilly, Behind Blue Eyes, and Won't Get Fooled Again. Those 3 songs got played to death where I live, and I'm kind of over them. I mean, I still could listen to the album and enjoy them in the context of the album, but usually I don't really like if I'm thinking of listening to like a classic Who album from like Tommy, Who's Next, or Quadrophenia. That's usually like the one I don't usually listen to. Not because I don't like it, but because, you know, that second reason why it's only at number 2 is a song called Going Mobile. That devalues the album a little as well. So yeah, that's my number 2 spot. Who's next?
Jason says he is loving Phil Collins. Yeah, once you get to Phil Collins and Genesis, if you haven't listened to them before, then the Phil Collins stuff is great. I don't care what the haters say. Trick of the
I don't
Tail is
really-
amazing. I don't really like Wind and Wuthering as much. I need to listen to that one again. That one's
Actually-
probably a grower.
I thought it was pretty good the first time, but after listening to Trick of the Tail, I mean, I think it's better than a lot of Peter Gabriel albums. It's my second favorite Genesis album. I think it's better than Nursery Crime. I think it's better than Lamb Dies Down on Broadway. I think it's better than Selling England by the Pound. So that's
One of the great things you have to remember about Trick of the Tail. I know it's not 1976 top 5 albums, but this is Phil Collins' debut as a frontman singing. He was just a drummer before that. Like, he sang a song, More Fool Me, on what's the name of the album? Selling England by the Pound. But like, that was just kind of a little short song. Like, he didn't really think of himself much of as a singer. And so the fact that he was able to step out and be Phil Collins, like the Phil Collins we know today. Well, first it kind of sounded like he was imitating Peter Gabriel on that album, but that worked for the album. But getting to hear Phil Collins step out from behind the drum kit and become an amazing lead singer was, man, I guess in a way, having Peter Gabriel leave Genesis was one of the best things they could have done, because Peter Gabriel's solo career is amazing, and Genesis with Phil Collins and Phil's solo careers are all amazing.
True. I would say you kind of. I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say that was bad what you said there, but I wouldn't. I still am a big fan of Peter Gabriel, but you're right. He does make a really good solo career.
I just wish they would have like reformed for an album, maybe in like the 90s.
They should have picked the best songs from So and the best songs from Invisible Touch, and that would have been, or even better yet, instead of
amazing album.
Better yet, instead of having that monstrosity of a self-titled album, they should have took the decent songs from the self-titled album and.
I like some of the stuff on the self-titled album.
I can't stand that album. People say the last album that Genesis made was the worst, but no, I can't stand their self-titled album.
Man.
That's the only 80s Phil Collins era pop album.
I like the A side.
That's the only
Mama, That's All, and Home by the Sea. But then the B side does have some stupid songs on it. It's no fun being an illegal alien. It's so cringy.
That's the only album where I can imagine the hatred for the pop era of Phil Collins. If you're telling me Abacab, Duke, and Invisible Touch are bad albums, I'm coming after you, because those are
they're
awesome.
Great. They're great.
That's the only ones I could see why.
I love
Carpet Crawlers. I love Carpet Crawlers. That was Briar's favorite song off of Lamb Dies Down on Broadway.
Okay, Jason, if you like Carpet Crawlers, look at the album. What's it called? Turn It On Again, The Hits. It's a compilation by Genesis that they re-recorded the Carpet Crawlers in the 90s with Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins. You might like that.
I love how some of the songs on Lamb Dies Down on Broadway, Phil Collins has backup vocals, like the title track. I love that. I love Lamb Dies Down on Broadway.
They did call us.
Okay, let me say this in its entirety before you kill me. Listening to albums like Foxtrot, Lamb Dies Down, and Trick of the Tail, I could see why there were some upset Genesis fans at the times, like, oh, what is this? They're trying to sell out or something. I could see that. I could totally see where they're coming from, because I'd be the same way. I'd be like, what the heck? They go from those albums to this? But at the same time, you got to look at it as a separate entity. Like, oh, they're just moving on, can't do the same thing over and over, start to end up sounding stale. And I feel like where Phil Collins brought them, even though it wasn't as good as the prog rock stuff, it was different. And sometimes different is good. And 3 albums prove it. But
Jordan is listing his top 5. He has LA Woman by The Doors at number 5, Carole King's Tapestry at number 4, Paul McCartney, Ram number 3, Imagine by John Lennon at number 2, and Sticky Fingers by the Stones at number 1. My number 2 is going to be The Levee Breaks, baby, you got 'em. Led Zeppelin number 4. Actually, no, wait. I forgot. The album is called Man with Sticks. That's the official name of the album. No, but
Yeah.
that's what we kind of jokingly call the album here on the channel, just because Breyer started the trend of calling it the Man with Sticks album. But this was Led Zeppelin's most successful album. It contains some of their most classic songs on it. It's only 8 songs long, but all of them are great. Except you may not like Four Sticks, but I don't know. I kind of like the weirdness of it. You start off with Black Dog. That one's classic. I like the kind of acapella thing at the beginning, and then the guitar goes. And
Yeah.
of course,
That's
the absolute monster that is John Bonham on this album. His drumming is amazing, especially on When the Levee Breaks. Going to California is a nice little acoustic ballad. Misty Mountain Hop and Battle Evermore. They are tapping into their love for Tolkien. And what else is on here? Oh yeah,
Lord of
Rock
the
and Roll. That's a great Chuck Berry inspired song. Or sorry, Little Richard. Little Richard. Don't shoot me. I said the wrong person. Little Richard. It's inspired off of
Don't
Can't You Hear
shoot
Me
him. He's
Knocking?
just a
I mean,
toxic creature.
keep on knocking. Sorry, but yeah, Led Zeppelin 4, Man with Sticks, number 2.
Yeah, and with Black Dog, Garrett actually heard where the influence came from with the "Oh Well" with the vocal on that.
Even though I
That's
said
where
that
they
Peter
got.
Green was my least favorite, that's still one of my favorite Fleetwood Mac songs, though. I learned how to play it on the guitar, or at least part of it on the guitar, like the main riff, and it's really fun to play, and I love jamming to it.
I mean, yeah, I agree. It is the weakest of the 3 big eras of Fleetwood Mac, but that and Black Magic are their two
Yeah, and
of
the
the
instrumental Albatross. Like there's some good stuff in all the eras of Fleetwood Mac.
Oh yeah, there's always at least 3 songs off of every.
If you've only listened to Rumors, even though that is my favorite Fleetwood Mac album, and I wouldn't kill you for just listening to that. Like there's a lot of other great stuff in their discography.
Oh yeah. Okay, I guess this is the time for the honorable mentions, right?
Yes, honorable mentions. I'm going to pull up my list of albums from the 7th.
You could do that while I list my 10. So, well, it's not going to be in any order, and honestly, I'm just going to go brief because if I explain on all of them, I'm just going to be here forever. One of them, Imagine by John Lennon, great album, but I don't know. Some of the songs, a couple of songs on the album make me not want to put it in my top 5.
Oh, Yoko.
No, not that song. That I don't want to be a soldier, mama. I don't want to die.
Oh, yeah.
That song. Same with the It's So Hard Going Down. Like that sounds like a Peter Green song. It's just can't stand it.
I love Give Me Some Truth though.
I love that
I'm
song.
sick and tired of hypocritic politicians. Just give me some truth.
Plastic Ono Band.
All I want is the truth. And I love Oh My Love is my favorite song on the album.
I could see that. It's great. And that's like right after Give Me Some Truth.
Yeah, those two are my favorites on the album.
Where I'm Coming From by Stevie Wonder. This was his first album where he had creative control. It's not as focused as the albums that would come later, like Music of My Mind, Talking Book, Songs in the Key of Life, but this is still an amazing album. This was like the first album where he wrote basically all the songs for it. He had to have co-writes because this was before his contract ended, and he actually demanded full writing credits. This was before that, but still he had some creative control, which was really good. It proved how they were trusting in Stevie Wonder, and I love that. Next one, Teaser on the Fire Cat by Cat Stevens. This is another great album. Sort of like singer-songwriter. I feel like this is something that would be up Jason's alley. Really mellow. Another one, Surf's Up by the Beach Boys. Love that album.
Yeah.
Title track. I don't care what anyone.
Beach Boys are so underrated.
Exactly. Besides 15 Big Ones.
Early 70s Beach Boys.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, their albums from Sunflower to Holland is just them being amazing. Man Across the Water great album. The Yes album by Yes didn't make it in my top 5. Like I said, it's really good, but it's not. They still haven't perfected their sound yet. Well, I already said the album that they did, but Master of Reality by Black Sabbath. Really love that album. Metal by Pink Floyd has the amazing. I'd say Echoes was like the closest they were ever to prog rock.
Yeah.
LA Woman by The Doors. Love that album. The one album that barely missed off my top 5 is Hunky Dory by David Bowie. If I was able to do a tie, it would have been that and Distant Light. Hunky Dory is an amazing singer-songwriter album. Changes, All You Pretty Things, Life on Mars, Queen Bitch, song for David Bowie, for Bob Dylan, even though some people might write it off as just a throwaway. I think it's really good. This is another album I feel like Jason would really like. You would like it too, Garrett, but definitely Jason, since he's a big fan of the singer-songwriter albums. That's it for
Must
my.
be better than Mr. Gravedigger.
Oh, much better than that. Yeah.
Okay. Imagine by John Lennon. Ram by Paul McCartney. We got the Beatles solo out of the way. Surf's Up by the Beach Boys. Metal by Pink Floyd. I love Echoes. Sticky Fingers by the Rolling Stones. That's the thing, is that people are always talking about how 1971 is like the best year ever for music, and like I can think of at least, well, honestly, like for me, like every other year in the 70s, I almost like better than 1971, if you can believe that. I don't know though. That's all I've got for my honorable mentions.
Okay. My number 1, surprised you didn't mention this in your honorable mentions. It's we were just talking about the band. It's called Genesis.
Oh yes. Not the band, yes. But
oh man, it's crazy. But I was talking to Garrett, and well, I said it's gonna win album of the year 4 years in a row, but it's definitely gonna win at least. It's definitely gonna win at least 2 more album of the years. But this is one of them. Nursery Crime. Right away, the music box. I could tell right away it's just gonna be a perfect prog rock album. That 10 minutes to me always goes like that. Oh man, I can't put to words how amazing the musical box is. I mean, man, this is like the first album with even though Trespass was amazing, I actually kind of prefer it over this album, if you could believe that. It's well, you might be like, well, this is the first album with Phil Collins, but like, it's not
and
like
Steve Hackett too.
It's not like Rush where
Oh yeah,
like, they
no,
got
the Professor
like,
made them so much better.
It's not like that where like he was a huge difference. I mean, don't get me wrong, Phil Collins is amazing. He hit the things he brought to the band were great, but musical box amazing. For Absent Friends, even though it's just less than 2 minutes, I think it's amazing. The Return of the Giant Hogweed.
That's
Love
my
that
favorite
song.
one on there.
I don't blame you one bit for thinking that. I mean, this first side, even though it's just 3 tracks, it's like what Garrett says about Hemispheres every time. It's quality over quantity, for sure. Next song on the album, Seven Stones. I love that track. Oh man, Harold the Barrel. I've been embarrassed saying this, but this is my favorite song on the album.
Okay, it's
so
British humor.
Maybe
Nick,
it's because I love the small faces.
You might have a lot of British heritage in you, because you like a lot of British things.
Yeah, I think because I love Ogden's Duck on Flake. I love the British humor in Heinz Baked Beans off of Who Sell Out. So maybe that is the cruise. I love it. It's just so catchy. It's like boom, boom, boom. It's just, oh man, I love the track. It's my favorite. And some people might think I'm weird, be like, of course it's the most poppiest sounding song on the album, but I don't care. I mean, all 70 of these songs is worth making it number one. The Fountain of Harlequin is great. The Fountain of Salamasis, I think is the name of it. Salamasis, Massis, whatever. But that song's
Lambda.
amazing. I mean, it's not my favorite of the two prog songs that have the fountain in it, but I'll get more into that when we talk about Caress of Steel in our 1975 top 5. But yeah, these 7 songs, definitely essential listening. If you never listened to Nursery Crime before, definitely listen to it. If you're getting into prog rock, definitely it's definitely a good gateway album into their discography, for sure. But yeah, my number 1 spot, Nursery Crime.
My number 1 is Who's Next by The Who. Yeah, this album is one of the ones up on my my wall of fame, right next to Moving Pictures. Actually, that's how much I like it. It is absolutely amazing. Which is weird that I have it higher than Nick, and The Who is his favorite band. But man, it's so good. I love Baba O'Reilly, and I love the synthesizer at the beginning. I love Bargain. That one's so good. Love Ain't for Keeping is okay. Like, it's good. It's just when you have an album full of all amazing songs, some of the songs are not quite as amazing. And that's okay. But then you have My Wife by John Entwistle. That one is great. And the song Is Over is probably the most underrated Who song ever. If you've not heard The Song Is Over by The Who, please go give a listen to that. It's definitely one of my favorite Keith Moon drum performances. And then on the B side, Getting in Tune. Oh man, Getting in Tune is amazing.
Nicky Hopkins should have been the 5th Who member.
Yeah,
the piano playing he did on The Song Is Over and Getting in Tune is just amazing.
Oh, Going Mobile it's all right. I mean, it's kind of fun. Definitely one of the weaker songs on the album, but it's still great.
Should have been Pure and Easy.
Yeah, I would have rather put Pure and Easy on the album rather than Going Mobile.
I mean, after
Lifehouse outtakes.
After Getting in Tune, it would have been perfect to have Pure and Easy.
The only thing is that Song Is Over has the Pure and Easy reprise, so you'd have to put Pure and Easy somewhere before.
It would have been perfect to have The Song Is Over after Won't Get Fooled Again. I don't know. It would have been a different track listing if those two songs were switched.
Probably. But then Behind Blue Eyes, the big villain song from The Story That Never Happened. Yeah, this was supposed to be a rock opera with a really weird, convoluted story about finding your one note, but it got scrapped in favor of just doing a straightforward rock album using some of the songs that were going to be in the rock opera. And then John Entwistle wrote a song, My Wife, which is really funny. It's about him getting drunk and having to spend the night at the police station. Then his wife thinks he's been out with another woman, so she's like chasing him with a judo expert and a machine gun, and he's got to get his tank in his airplane. It's so stupid. Yeah, I love that. Gonna buy a tank and an aeroplane. If she catches up with me, there'll be no time to explain.
You should check out his debut album, Garrett, because his debut album by John Entwistle, Smash Your Head Against the Wall, is like a bunch. It's like the whole album is like
My Wives,
basically. But a couple of them I actually like better than My Wife. But if you like the mood of My Wife, because the reason why he made that album was because he was frustrated because he wasn't given as much freedom as he wanted to, and he was like, you know what, I'm just gonna make a full album of songs I want, do what I want.
Cool. Yeah. And then can't go through this top 5 of 1971 without mentioning Won't Get Fooled Again. Really great keyboard intro, and I like the guitar. John Entwistle's bass is amazing. Keith Moon. Oh, how did I go this far without really talking about Keith Moon other than on The Song Is Over? His drumming on this whole album is amazing, but especially here on this last track. And then the big scream at the end is just amazing. I love this whole album. One of the great rock albums. Who's next?
I'm surprised no one picked Keith Moon as drums on the contest thing.
I know. I picked Bonham. Nobody picked
I
Neil
had-
Peart either.
Yeah, well, I had, you know what?
You had
I
to
was,
pick
I
between
actually,
Getty or him.
I wish I would have picked Alex Lifeson as the guitarist, and then had Neil Peart on drums. And not actually, no, and what was I thinking? And have I forgot what I was thinking, but I remember being like, oh man, if only I had Lifeson on guitar and have Richard Wright on keyboard instead.
Oh, that would have been good.
Like Richard Wright on keyboard and Lifeson on guitar, because my humble opinion, I think Lifeson is the greatest guitarist of all time.
He's definitely my favorite.
Because the guitar playing, like every time I listen to the part of YYZ where he's like after the little drum part with the, I'm just like,
Yeah, the guitar solo.
I'm always impressed by guitar playing on every album he's on. Well, I get it, like why you didn't like. That's how now I'm starting to get why you didn't like Signals at first, because they really buried Lifeson on most of the album, and I'm like, you know what? I'm starting to get it now.
But then I re-listened to it, and even though his guitar is a little bit further down in the mix, it's really important parts of the songs, like Analog Kid. His guitar solo is so cool on that song. Oh, and Subdivisions, the guitar solo on that. Man. Okay, well, that is our top 5 albums of 1971. Thank you very much for watching. And we got a few more comments right before we sign off. Jordan says tied for number 1, Sticky Fingers, and Who's Next. And Jason says that Ginger Baker is good, but Adam picked Ringo and Briar picked Nick Mason. Yeah, he's talking about who all. I'll just go through all of the bands, and you guys can go check out that post and vote. And then if Jason or Jordan wants to hang out afterwards, I'll throw the link to this stream in the comments right before I end the stream, and then we can hang out there.
That is my profile through the past darkly this time.
Oh, what? Okay. Hold on a second. I'm going to send a message. Let's see. Yeah. Suddenly ahead of me, across the mountainside.
You know what? I changed my mind, Garrett. Lifeson's my favorite rock member. Lifeson's my favorite rock member. Just I've been listening to. I already showed my CD copy of Moving Pictures. I'm listening to that going from and to work, and I'm just every time I get to YYZ and Red Barchetta, I just crank the volume on it and just.
Okay, here they are. The Sons of Sun Hyo, or Sun Hilo, however you say it. That is John Deacon from Queen on the bass, Jeff Beck on guitar, Nick Mason from Pink Floyd on the drums, John Anderson of Yes on vocals, and Tony Banks of Genesis on keyboards. That's a pretty good proggy band right there. The Fortunate Falcons, Jimi Hendrix on guitar, Bob Dylan on acoustic guitar, Roy Orbison on vocals, Ringo Starr on the drums, and John Paul Jones on the bass. The Witch Hunters, Geddy Lee on keyboards, John Entwistle from The Who on the bass, Peter Gabriel from Genesis on vocals, David Gilmour from Pink Floyd on guitar, and Ginger Baker of Cream on drums. And then the Hooligans, that's my band, is John Bonham from Led Zeppelin on the drums, Roger Daltrey from The Who on vocals, Chris Squire of Yes on bass. I put him on there just because of Roundabout. Just because of how amazing that is. I need to listen to more Yes. And then Brian May of Queen on guitar.
Yeah, you definitely need to listen to more Queen. I mean, more Yes. They're an essential band, Garrett. I know you're into prog, so they're an essential.
Jordan, I just sent you a message on Facebook. Hopefully that comes up. But I am going to send a link in the chat, and then I'll also send one to Jordan and Jason via Messenger, just in case they want to hang out. If not, it's okay. But thank you guys for watching. And remember this: art as expression, not as market campaigns. See you later.